If you're a quiet quitter, you're a loser. You're un-American.
최근 월스트리트 저널지에서 가장 많은 사람들이 읽은 기사는 바로 조용한 퇴사에 대한 소식입니다. 이 이슈는 미국 부머들과 z세대의 세대 간 갈등과도 맞물려 있는데요.
But were you mailing it in while someone was paying you? And if so, do you feel guilty about that?
No, so
이민자들 그리고 동양인들까지 거론되고 있는 이 논란의 내용은 무엇일까요? 일간소울 영어입니다. 팬데믹 이후에 미국 사회는 계속해서 노동시장의 변화를 겪고 있습니다. 역사상 최고의 퇴사율을 기록하면서 권력이 고용주에서 직원으로 옮겨가고 있는 상황인데요.
You know, workers are so in demand. We started talking, I don't know, a year and a half ago about how power to the workers, power to the workers. This is part of that, right?
이 와중에 조용한 퇴사가 이슈가 된 것입니다. 대체 무슨 뜻일까요?
Quiet quitting. It's the new job trend that does not involve leaving your company.
This new form of quitting happens when workers mentally step back from the burdens of work, working the bare minimum number of hours and not making their jobs an important center of their lives.
이를 두고 격렬한 사회적인 토론이 벌어지고 있는데요.
You get out what you put in.
Yeah.
You put in
Yes.
maximum effort, good things come. If
Right.
you're like kind of the bare minimum, then maybe
Yeah.
the bare minimum comes back to you. And if you're
That's-
cool with that,
yeah.
In high
that's a
school,
choice.
I worked at a Pathmark store. I worked at a vending machine company
Yeah.
after school. But I gave 100%.
Yeah,
That's what
100.
my dad said. That's what you do.
Yeah.
If you're getting
And look
paid,
at you.
Well, you
What
know,
happens
listen.
though? No, when you give 100%.
Gen Z is more than likely willing to speak to this awareness of, hey, this seems like a very unfair deal. I'm meant to be here 9 to 6 p.m., but people look at me like I shot someone if I leave at 6.
Yeah.
특히 베이비 부머 세대들은 조용한 퇴사에 강한 반감을 보이며 이를 anti-work movement, 반노동 운동이라고 칭하고 있습니다.
Dumbest idea I've ever heard in launching a career. If you're a quiet quitter, you're a loser. You're un-American.
게다가 이런 미국 젊은이들이 가진 태도를 이민자들과 비교하기까지 하고 있는데요.
Does anybody want to work anymore? This week, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon was criticized for agreeing there was some truth to China's accusation that the United States is, quote, incompetent and lazy. The children of immigrants seem to possess a certain grit that those born here lack.
하지만 z세대들의 의견은 전혀 다릅니다.
But were you mailing it in while someone was paying you? And if so, do you feel guilty about that?
No, so while I was in my 9-to-5 job, I still was working my 40 hours a week. I was just taking away that feeling of stress I had after work by feeling like I needed to put in 1,000%, needed to join trainings and do as much as I possibly could to go up the corporate ladder. That just wasn't my end goal.
Do you worry that maybe a future employer, they're going to take a look back at this chapter and they're going to say, wait a minute, Paige West, she was part of that whole quiet quitting trend. We don't want her.
I wouldn't think so. I'm certain if they called back my employer that I had when I was still in the corporate world, that they would happily say that I still did a great job.
성장과 팽창을 향해 달려가던 자본주의 사회라는 기차가 팬데믹이라는 벽에 부딪히면서 일어나는 사회 변화와 노동시장의 조정이 아닌가 생각되는데요. 조용한 퇴사, 여러분은 어떻게 생각하시나요? 오늘도 세상과의 접점에서 영어를 만나는 일간소울 영어였습니다. 구독과 좋아요 눌러주세요.